Today, the 14th August 2025, it's still your homeboy, Photon CFR, with the news headline for today. The first one is going to be coming from education. FEC approves 9 new universities despite 7-year moratorium. Let's delve properly into the news. The Federal Executive Council has approved the establishment of 9 new universities, even as it placed a 7-year moratorium on the creation of new federal universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. The decision, reached at Wednesday FEC meeting presided over by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, followed a presentation by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, who warned that every Nigerian tertiary education sector was suffering from overstretched resources, poor enrollment, and declining academic quality. You see, one thing I cannot explain about this current government is how they conveniently shoot themselves in the leg with statements like this. You claimed that the tertiary education was suffering from overstretched resources, poor enrollment, and declining academic quality. Yet, you still go ahead to approve more. Someone told me that it was election season. I did not really believe until now. I think what these ministers are trying to do is to put their name in limelight in order to maintain their position. Because it's so funny how all of a sudden every minister is beginning to make the news headline. Before it was Minister Wike. If it's not Wike, it's someone else. But right now, everyone is coming. The Minister of Aviation is coming in. Minister of Education is coming in. Minister of Road and Transport Work is coming in. Almost every minister. I keep telling Nigerians, this is a game plan. This is a game plan, and we must be very careful. Let's continue with the news. According to Alausa, many existing institutions are underutilized, with some federal universities having fewer than 2,000 students. In one northern university, 1,200 staff serve fewer than 800 students. That is a waste of government resources, he said. I won't say anything. The minister disclosed that last year, 199 universities recorded fewer than 100 applications through the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, which we know as JAM, while 34 received none at all. Many of the country's 295 polytechnics and 219 colleges of education also had similar poor enrollment figures, including 64 with 0 applicants. He stressed that unchecked proliferation of institutions with low student numbers risked producing ill-prepared graduates, undermining the value of Nigerians' degree abroad and worsening unemployment. As if the person talking is not also a beneficiary of this system. Is it today that we all know that the graduates being produced by Nigeria are ill-prepared? Check my profile. There was a video I published, I think last week, about how even the graduates being produced are even more productive than the lecturers producing them. You're shooting yourself in the foot. This simply shows that this man does not know his job. They just assign you portfolio. Instead of you to take that time to understand what this portfolio is all about and how you can come in. After 2 years, this is the kind of news we are hearing. I keep telling Nigerians, there is no news that will break today that Nigerians are not aware of. None. Our degree is useless. I graduated with a very good degree, I can tell you that. If I tell you the course I studied in Nigerian university, you'll be amazed. But when I left Nigeria with that degree, I understood that I wasted almost 6 years of my life. I should have just learned a proper skill. He goes on to say that the moratorium, he explained, will enable government to channel funds into rehabilitating existing facilities hiring competent academic staff and expanding the carrying capacity of current institutions. It's a lie. Irọ́, they are lying. They are not going to, the only place they will channel funds to is into their pockets. Do not be deceived. Nigerian government will not channel funds into education. Rather, they will channel funds into their pockets. Despite the freeze, 9 new universities were approved at the meeting. You see, sometimes I think it's high time we start running psychiatric tests on our leaders. I don't think it was up to 24 hours that I heard that they banned creation of new universities and the rest of them. And despite that freeze, 9 new universities were approved at the same meeting today. What is wrong with our leaders? Anyway, when you hear news like this, just know money has exchanged and somebody is benefiting. Allegedly. Alausa clarified that these were private institutions whose applicants had been pending for up to 6 years and had passed full evaluation by the National University Commission, NUC. Irony, it is all lies. You know, when they want to do something, they always have a reason to do it. They will never give you a news without having a reason. They always have a reason to back up whatever they are saying. This is just one of them. When we assumed office, it's always when they assumed office. There were 551 applicants for private universities. Over 350 dormant ones were deactivated. Of the 79 active cases, 9 met the criteria and were approved, he said, adding that significant investment had already been made in their infrastructure. The moratorium, he noted, also applies to the creation of new private polytechnics and colleges of education. Alausa hailed the move as a reset for Nigeria's tertiary educational sector and credited President Tinubu. This is where I always have a problem. This is where I always have a problem. And that is why it is going to be very difficult to tell me that nothing being done by the ministers are not political. Because when you read their statement, at the end, they will always credit it to the president. Then tomorrow they will tell you to go and hold your governor. They know they can only tell Nigerians who are in Nigeria and Nigerians who are abroad, but their brain is still in fetus level. And they will believe them. Not we. We have passed that level. My brain is too advanced for cheap lies like this. I think that's all. We'll go into the next news. Number 2. This one is coming direct from politics. Obi to Tinubu. You are not a tourist. Stay home. Solve Nigerian problem. Peter Obi, Labour's party presidential candidate at the 2023 election on Thursday, criticized the perennial foreign trips of President Bola Tinubu, reminding the president that he is not a tourist and should not be globetrotting. All Nigerian presidents, right from day one, had always been tourists. Not just the president, the governors, the local government chairman, the councillors, everybody, even down to the educational level. They are all tourists. Because they see public position as a means to enrich themselves and have fun. What Obi is saying is not new. The former presidents, they've done it also. Baba is just taking cue from what he's used to. Because he knows Nigerians will not say anything. Why? He knows Nigerians are so daft that whatever you tell them, they will believe you. Obi frowned at the joy with which the President Tinubu jumps at foreign travels at the slightest opportunity and excuse. Baba must try. Oh, the former Anambra governor's comment, captured in a thread on his X handle, followed an announcement by the presidency that Tinubu would leave Nigeria on Thursday, August 14, for a 2-nation trip to Japan and Brazil. Obi in his thread questioned why a president who came from Brazil recently and met with the president is returning to the same country, leaving various degrees of challenges at home unresolved. At this point, who do us? Should I predict something? You know, I'm always very good in prediction. The next thing you will hear from the media aid is that he's returning the visit. Nigeria, my country. I say, mark what I just said. The next news you will hear, because they will always defend the trips, it's their job. They will tell you, oh, you know, the president of Brazil came to Nigeria, you know, so we have to return, you know, as a good gesture, you understand? And Nigeria will still believe. Do you know my country? He describes Tinubu as a virtually indifferent president who has continued to display insensitivity to our situation amid the deplorable state of the nation in all ramifications. Do not blame Tinubu, but blame Nigerians. Because Nigerians do not see anything wrong with what the president is doing. Bemoaning that the president has no justification to leave the country almost 1 week for an event where he is sometimes a mere observer. Boy, now that one a straight bullet. Let's be honest, oh, that statement now straight bullet. Oh. The former Labour Party's flag bearer said Tinubu ought to be on ground, taking decisive action to alleviate the people's suffering, rather than this overseas conference that contributes little or no tangible value to our nation was. I think Peter Obi was even being diplomatic. These kinds of visits contributes nothing. There's no need putting little there. When you put little, you try to make it look as if there's some gain. There is no single gain. I bet you. There is no single gain. If you check presidents of Western countries and developing African countries, check their itineraries, you would know a president who truly mean well for the country. Mr. President must, as a matter of urgency, commence tours of states with the same enthusiasm he shows for jetting out of the country every month. You see, in as much as I appreciate what Obi is saying, I think Nigerians do not appreciate this statement, and that is why the president will never do this. A president is a result of the people. I am telling you this. The president of a country is a representation of majority of its people. These visits will enable him to see, listen, and learn more about what Nigerians are going through. Who told you President Tinubu is not aware? He is, but he just doesn't care. Though Nigerians know that our huge problems cannot be solved overnight, they want to see 100% effort and tireless commitment to solving them, he maintained. And that is why he's traveling now. It's part of the effort. Obi's X thread read in part: the president will stop over in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, before proceeding to Japan. In Japan, President Tinubu will attend the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development in the city of Yokohama from August 20 to 22. The itinerary is silent on the president's return date to his visibly troubled nation. Who told you Nigerians are troubled? No, Peter Obi, I won't take that from you. Nigerians are happy. A troubled mind does not keep quiet. Somebody who is troubled does not keep quiet. Nigerians are happy. The situation we find ourselves is deeply worrisome. Our president, who has not found it worthy to visit any of the troubled states, takes joy in traveling to foreign countries at the slightest invitation or excuse, often departing several days before the event is invited to. In his last trip, for instance, he had a 1-week state visit to St. Lucia before attending the BRICS summit, where Nigeria was merely invited as an observer, though the role was dressed up as partner to the invitation, which was more significant. The leaders of actual members' country who attended only arrived a day or two at most for the event. Mogbamoya. Yoruba would say Mogbamoya. Nigeria's insecurity situation, economic hardship, and human suffering have reached their peak. We are now counted among the most insecure nations. the most fragile economies, and the hungriest countries in the world. We had always been amongst these. It's just that Tinubu only came and made it obvious. Believe me. You know, when somebody see breakfast, he feels he has eaten for that day, forgetting that each week has 7 days. Make we carry the one we go down our belly today now. Me where you're good, where you're good, we are okay. In civilized country, you plan for the month. Some even plan their feeding for the year. Nigeria, you plan your feeding for the day. Tinubu only made planning feeding for the day to planning feeding for the hours. This dire reality demands the full attention of Mr. President, and his travels should be more within our troubled states and communities. Spending time on the ground and taking decisive action to alleviate the people's suffering, rather than these overseas conferences that contributes little or no tangible value to our nation's woes. If he does not travel, what will they tell us that money was spent on? He has to travel. He has to travel because they need to justify the missing money in the coffers of the nation. Tomorrow you will hear 50 billion was spent on overseas trip. This is part of it. At least we are seeing what they are using the money for now. And where the trip is necessary at all, it could be attended in just few days rather than indulging in prolonged unnecessary absence from a country that requires 24/7 attention. I've said this before now. Nigeria does not require 24/7 attention. Nigerians simply do not care about the country. Nigerians only care about themselves. So let the president also care about himself. What our nation needs now is security of lives and properties, economic stability, and ensuring that our people have food on their table. I think they do, because I've not seen them coming out to fight. When I mean fight, I mean obvious fight. Our president planned trip of 12 days departing today. If necessary, should have been at most a 5-day trip at the event he was invited to in Japan, which commences on the 20th. Now, this goes to show you that the building of a human being reflects in his day-to-day activities. If you are a cultured person and somebody who has always been a planner, somebody who has worked hard for whatever he or she has today, you would know how to spend it, where to spend it, when to spend it. But if you are born into bountiful wealth, it's going to be very difficult. That is what our leaders are facing. Nigeria today demands competent leadership with capacity and compassion to start dealing with the problems besetting it with the presence and sacrifice required. Mr. President must, as a matter of urgency, commence tours of our state with the same enthusiasm he shows for jetting out of the country every month. These visits will enable him to see, listen, learn more about what Nigerians are going through. He knows all this. Though Nigerians know that our huge problems cannot be solved overnight, they want to see 100% effort and tireless commitment to solving them. Most importantly, our president must know that he's not a tourist, but the chief executive of a troubled nation. I don't think Nigeria is troubled. So he must have consciousness, strict work schedules, and a strict traveling schedule to show that he has a troubled country to quickly return to. A man can only show that he has a troubled country to return to when the country is actually troubled. Nigeria is not. Next news. Ajaokuta steel costs Nigeria over 1 billion yearly in salaries, pensions, DG. You see, the problem we have in this country is our inability to speak truth to power. Our inability to remove the word embezzlement and call somebody a thief. I think we have to stop using sweet words, because this is what propels injustice, criminality. A thief is a thief. It is only in Nigeria that refineries will not be producing, but salaries are being paid. It is only in Nigeria that refinery will not be producing, but there are money budgeted for keeping the refinery working. And nobody Nobody, I repeat, nobody is being questioned. Let's read the news together. The Director General of the Multinational Metallurgical Development Center, Professor Linus Asuku, has said the non-functional Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited is costing the country more than 1 billion naira annually in pensions, salary, taxes, and administrative costs. He stated this in his presentation at a panel discussions at the maiden edition of the National Street Summit in Abuja. The discussion was titled Dissecting the Current Policy Framework, Identifying Gaps and Building a Robust Institutional Regulation. The News Agency of Nigeria recalls that according to the 2024 report by Budget's Accountability Platform, Ajaokuta's financial burden has continued to grow with about 1.11 billion spent the past 2 years. This is mind-blowing. The DG listed the challenges of the steel company to include a huge financial burden, mismanagement, corruption, and a disconnected value chain infrastructure. According to him, Nigeria has invested over $8 billion in the Ajaokuta project over a period of more than 40 years. The actual statement that should have been used here was, Nigeria has invested over $8 billion in the pocket of the thieves using the Ajaokuta's project as a cover-up. He said that persistent mismanagement and policy failures derailed the project, as funds were misappropriated and concessional deals failed, citing the Japanese Corp Steel and India-based Global Steel Holding Limited as examples. Asuku explained that the ASCL was burdened with a disconnected value chain infrastructure, as the iron ore mines at the National Iron Ore Mining Company in Itakpe, Kogi, remained non-operational. That is the state of the governor who, according allegedly to EFCC, stole almost 80 billion or more than 80 billion until today. He's still moving about freely. Now you see where our money is going to. Rail line for transporting ore, that's iron ore, from Itakpe to Ajaokuta was delayed, vandalized. It was only completed and inaugurated in 2020. Obsolete technology and degraded equipment because most of the installed machinery has degraded over decades, and plants lack modern energy efficient steel-making technologies. If it were to be in a country that is truly working, heads would have rolled by now. He also noted that local community displacement remains unresolved, as 13 villages were displaced when the plants were built. According to Asuku, the way forward is to rebuild the integrated supply chain and adopt modern mini-mill technologies. You see, all these recommendations are just for paperwork. They will never be done, so there's no need going further. When we move on to the next news, which is a politics news, you see, this next headline will only make me laugh, because those who understand Nigeria will know why I'm laughing. Commendations for Tinubu's government as federal government agency records 5.21 trillion revenue. See, Nigeria is the only country where they always announce that they are making so much revenue, but still go out to borrow. It's like a family who says, oh, this is my family. Every day we are making 1 million in profit, but tomorrow they go out to borrow 2 million. That is how Nigerian issue is. The Energy Policy Advancement Center, which is also known as IPAC, has commended the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, for generating 5.21 trillion naira in the first half of 2025. In a statement on Thursday, Ibrahim Musa, IPAC Director General, described the performance under the leadership of NUPRC Chief Executive Gbenga Komolafe as a demonstration of strategic revenue management in the oil and gas sector. You see, news like this should not be paid attention to. What they're just about to tell you is that another lie has loaded successfully. Next news, I beg. In Nigeria, not happened to you. Tinubu's economic reforms in right direction, says Okonjo Iweala. God have mercy. I think at this point, Nigerians, let's just say we don't have anybody to look up to anymore. Now only ourselves we know now. Only ourselves. The Director General of the WTO, World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, on Thursday commended President Bola Tinubu for working to stabilize Nigeria's economy, saying reforms under his administration are moving in the right direction. It's a movement. I can drink my coffee, I beg. Speaking to the State House correspondent after a courtesy visit to the president on Thursday, Okonjo-Iweala said that discussion with the president centered on the launch of a landmark initiative aimed at empowering Nigerian women in the digital export economy. You see, one thing I must say, when you're in government, don't steal. Not if. Because the moment they bring out your file, you won't know yourself anymore. Those who know, they know. We came to brief Mr. President about something very joyful that we did today with the help of the First Lady. Oh, God. The launch of the Women Exporters Fund for the digital economy. You are launching the digital economy in a country that is not even digitalized. Oh, God. So we came to brief Mr. President about this fund, which we launched. The Minister of Trade and Investment has been shepherding this effort in Nigeria, along with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. In fact, let's just wrap up news headline for today. I'm fed up. Thank you.